Hey Cornerstone, it's great to be back this week on the Cornerstone Connection after taking a week off last week for my wife and I to celebrate our anniversary. I just didn't have time to record and wasn't going to make it a priority. Instead, we were going for walks and bike rides, and that was great fun. Really appreciate Justin walking us through the book of Hosea in the Old Testament, showing us from that story the fact that Jesus loves us, that he really does love us. And I'm glad to be back here this week on The Connection as we continue to look at our core values as Cornerstone. You might remember from the past weeks we have 5 core values at Cornerstone. At Cornerstone we are Christ-centered. We value prayer. We value intentional discipleship, intentional outreach, and lastly this week we're going to talk about the value of service. As I was thinking about service and what service is and how it plays into our core values, these things that are important to who we are together as a church, it struck me that our core value of being Christ-centered and our core value of service really are excellent bookends because they complement one another. They're kind of mirrors of one another in a way. And what I mean by that is this. We talk about being Christ-centered, and that's a value, it's something we can talk about and something that we can hold as important. But the way we show it is through service. It made me think of Philippians chapter 2, a well-known passage. You might be familiar with it, where Paul is writing, and he's talking about Jesus, and he says this. He was in the form of God, but he did not count equality with God a thing to be grasped. But he made himself nothing, taking the form of a servant, being born in the likeness of men. And Paul's whole point in this passage is that we are to follow Christ's example of service. You see this throughout the Gospels as Jesus washes his disciples' feet. And he says, now that I've served you, you need to do the same thing. Serving is how we show that we are Christ-centered. And as I thought about service, I just want to encourage you, Cornerstone, with 2 things this week. First of all, you are serving. You're serving as a church. All of the things that go into making a Sunday morning worship service happen, those are ways that you're serving. Those are ways that you are working to help others, that you're giving of yourself, that you're considering others before yourself. Those are acts of service. I know that as you interact with friends and coworkers and family and neighbors and classmates, you're seeking opportunities to put their needs ahead of your own. You're seeking opportunities to do good for them, to serve them. That's service. As a church, we're continuing to seek out ways that we can engage the community to make Blaine a little bit better place to live. That's service. Cornerstone, don't look at service and think, oh man, I got to do that. Look at service and think, yeah, I am serving and God's using it. And as you do that, I want to encourage you this week or maybe even the next couple of days, think about your life and the interactions you have. And when you catch yourself serving, allow that to not just be on a horizontal plane, but allow that in your heart to look up. And remember that you're not just serving the people around you, but your service is an act of worship to God, showing that you are following in the footsteps of Christ. That's the first thing about service. The second thing I want to encourage you about service is keep doing it. Keep doing it. Service by its very nature means setting aside what we want, and that can get tiring, and that can get hard, and that can be wearying to us. So I just want to encourage you, if you're at a spot where you're tired of serving, go ahead, dig in, keep leaning in, and keep serving those around you, looking to God and remembering that in service we find joy. Now, let me just put a caveat on that and say too that we're called to rest. And maybe some of you are over serving. Maybe some of you need to be at a spot where you can rest for a quick season to be able to continue to serve. So don't hear this call to keep serving as any kind of a guilt trip, but as an encouragement. That as we live out our value of being Christ-centered by serving those around us, that we will see God at work in us and through us for his glory and our good. Cornerstone, I'm looking forward to being back with you this Sunday. Going to be looking at Acts 17, this great passage where Paul is addressing the people of Athens and giving us a great example of what it looks like to point people that have no framework for what it means to follow Christ, to guide those people into a dynamic relationship with Jesus. We'll see you Sunday, Cornerstone. Looking forward to it.